Alright, so your next assignment is to animate a word or name that's at least 4 letters, and you're animating each individual character or letter. So what I want you to make sure you do is fill your background with something. So it could just be a rectangle of color, or you could use a photograph. I'm going to use this, this picture here and just copy the image by doing Control-click and then doing Command-V to paste it in. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Oops. And fit it to my stage using my free transform tool. And that's my background. So right here I'm going to name this layer my background. And right now it's only available on 1 keyframe. And for this assignment, we're going to go up to 50 keyframes. If you want to go a little bit longer, that's fine. That's our minimum. So I'm going to go to my 50th keyframe. And just another reminder that if you can't see 50, like if you're zoomed way in, you can just use this little sliding scale here to make it the appropriate view. I'm going to click on 50, do Control-click, and I'm just going to insert a keyframe. And what that's going to do is just basically create this animation where all of these are connected and filled so that when I hit return, this picture is a constant and it stays there all 50 frames. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and lock that layer because I don't want to move it or tinker with it, and I'm going to create a new layer. And the word that I'm going to do is prism. So I'm going to start with my letter P. So I just named this layer P because it's easier to just label your stuff as you go. And on my first keyframe, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have the P kind of slide in on this rainbow. And I'll just use my text tool, and you can pick your color. So maybe I'll just do red for now, type P. So when if I wanted to adjust this, I'd already had it set to 300, but if you started to do this, it might be set to 12 or a really small font. So as long as it's highlighted, you can change this to, 300 or whatever, make it a nice big letter. And I'm going to start, I want my P to kind of start right here, and I'm going to have it end at the bottom of the waterfall. And to do that, I'm just going to use a motion tween. So it's pretty simple. I'm going to click here and do Insert, Motion Tween. And so now this motion is going to last the entire 50 frames. If I didn't want that to happen, let's say I wanted to go about halfway and I wanted to find its location about halfway, I could do Control-click, Insert Frame here. Oops, sorry. Insert Keyframe. And if you notice here when you do insert keyframe, it has this whole like drop down menu. If you do position, that means it's going to do a keyframe with the P in the exact same position. So, and now I need to select all of, let's see, here. Select my 25th keyframe and move my P down here. And now I have that motion tween in there. So I can adjust that tween so it's maybe a little bit more of a curve. And then I might move this P a little bit more here. Go to my first keyframe, move this P right there so that my little arch is kind of following my rainbow a little bit better. So now I'm going to go ahead and just hit return to see what this animation looks like. And right there the P stays right there. So I accidentally pulled this up to the 51st keyframe. So we'll just do remove frame right there. There we go. So now I've got my animated P in there. So next, I'm going to lock that, do my next layer, label it R because that's my next letter. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and do a shape tween, and I'm going to have it go from a letter R with my type tool. I'm going to change the color here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave red. I am going to leave it red. And I'm going to have this one kind of come in from the corner and slide down, but I'm going to have it change and do a, I'm going to turn it into an orange letter. So here's my R. At the very, I don't know, say at the 50th frame, I don't know, I'll do 30th frame. I'm going to insert a blank keyframe, and I'm going to go ahead and just copy my R from the first keyframe, go to my blank one, paste it in there. I'm going to put it where I want it, and I'm going to change the color to orange. And so then I'll click on this area, do insert, shape tween. Okay, so see how this is grayed out? The reason why is shape tweens, when you use your text tool, you can run into this issue of having to break it apart. So basically remove it from being kind of like in Illustrator when you're wanting to modify a letter as a vector, you have to kind of convert it into a vector rather than type. So go to Modify, Break Apart, and we're going to click on this other one, the orange one, and do the same thing. Modify, Break Apart. And so now you can kind of see that that bounding box went away. And we're going to do Insert, and now it will allow me to do Shape Tween. So that is one little trick we did not cover in the last tutorial. And I'm going to hit Enter and see how that goes. All right, so I've got my P and my R. And now I'll do another layer, lock my R layer, do I. And on my first layer, maybe I'll use my drawing tools, my paintbrush. And I'll draw a orange eye. Oops. And this one I'll just have dropped kind of straight down. And then my last keyframe, or maybe my 40th one, I'll do Control Insert Blank Keyframe. And on this keyframe, I'm going to do the Type tool with a yellow eye. But for it to make a shape tween, let me just show you what happens if we don't do a shape tween. So let's say I go ahead and I go to this eye that I drew in, I do Insert Shape Tween. It allowed me to put in a shape tween, but you can see it's broken because it's not connected to anything. And that's because I did not break apart my eye. So I'm going to go to Modify, Break Apart, and now look at that. My broken tween turned into a fixed tween. So now I'm going to hit Return, and starting at the beginning, oh, it's getting a little laggy now because of that last one I put in there. When you convert it and save your file, though, it shouldn't be this laggy. All right, so there's my eye. Lock it. So far I have a motion tween and I have 2 shape tweens, and that's the requirement, that you have at least one of each. You could do all tweens if you want to, or let's say that you want to do more of like that bouncing ball effect. That's a little bit more tedious, but let's just say I make an S here, and then I do Control click on frame 2, insert keyframe, insert keyframe, and then on frame 2 I move it slightly so it's almost like stop motion, and then I do insert keyframe, and then on the third one I move it, insert keyframe, Alright, I'm just going to finish this here. You get the idea. So this one, if I hit return, that S would be popping around. And again, it's going way slower than 30 FPS because it's just laggy with my eye. I wonder if I hide that layer, if it'll go faster. Yep. So that's the gist of it. The next layer I would do would be my M, which I'm going to spare you the time right now. Here's the other one that I messed around with. I can just show you this really quickly. I troubleshooted a lot of issues through this one. But again, I have my waterfall layer. And then on top of the waterfall I have the P, which if we hit, let me hide all my other ones here. If we hit return, the P slides in like that. If I reveal the R, let's go to the beginning and hit return, my R just slides in too. It's a drawn R using my paintbrush tool. I. The I just uses a motion tween. The S does a motion, or sorry, shape tween where it changes colors. It went from black to green. So that was just where the first S is black up at the top, and then the second S is green at the bottom. And of course you have to do modify, break apart if you're using those texts. And then the last one, I have the M, which is kind of fun. I did multiple shape tweens on the M, so I drew one M up here that looks like a kind of a bird or a seagull. And then the second one I did at 15 frames where it's flapping its wings up. And then at 30 frames where it's flapping its wings down, and then at 40 frames where it's flapping its wings up, and then 50th ends as an M. So let's just see what that looks like. So that's multiple motion tweens there to create this effect of a little flapping bird. All right, so hopefully that gave you some ideas of what is what's possible for this assignment. Be creative, have fun, and enjoy the process.